Hola, it's Bible study time. Yay! All right, y'all. Okay, so we're having Bible study today. We are in the book of Judges. We are still on our pursuit of truth. We are in search of Jesus. We are in search of all of God's promises over the house of Israel. We are discerning the word of God chapter by chapter, verse by verse. And we are now in the book of Judges. Okay, so we've made our way to Judges, and we're going to speak to chapter 7 of Judges from verse 1 down to verse 21. I know, I just have to give you the backdrop. I haven't gotten so good at this that I can compartmentalize it yet, so just bear with me. Well, we're gonna call upon the blessing of God to bless me in the discernment of his word today. And then we will begin our Bible study. Father and Mother, I come before you, your humble daughter. I look for you in all the many words of this book. I look for your truth, Father and Mother. Please speak through me. Help me to interpret your word and to convey it to the children in authenticity and truthfulness. Cover me in my discernment of your word. Assist me in delivering your message to the people. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right. All right, y'all. So we have been on a mighty journey. I'm getting more and more excited as these weeks progress. I want to speak something really quickly to you. I know that I'm always looking to deliver my Bible studies on Wednesdays. I'm very good in keeping my word, but because of technology, or I'll just blame it on technology. I was not able to. I don't know if I'm able to upload this video on Wednesday. I'm creating it on Wednesday, but will I be able to upload it? I don't know. My internet is out at my house. It's funny how my internet only acts up on Wednesdays. The devil is busy, but the devil is no match for God. All the devil can do is frustrate you, and I refuse to be frustrated. I refuse to lose. Remember, publican, and you say, I refuse to lose. That's me. So, we're going to get after whichever way we can, and we're going to be resourceful and optimistic, and we are going to be flexible. So just want to let you know why, if the post doesn't come up on Wednesday, why. And moving forward, I think it's only fair to myself and fair to you all to just say, I will deliver the Bible study once a week. I cannot say right now, I will try to do it on Wednesday. I will try to adhere to that. But if I have any technical issues, sometimes you got to outsmart the enemy. You got to outsmart, the forces at hand. And you have to kind of like be flexible. So sometimes I will deliver on Wednesday, but other times I will have to deliver on other days, dependent upon the situation with the technology. Okay. So, all right. So we're going to stick to the script. We're in Judges chapter 7. This is a little bit of a read, but I want you to understand what's going on here. The children of Israel have reached the promised land, y'all. Okay. Yay. They made it to the promised land. They done left Egypt. They have made it all the way through the wilderness. Moses has passed. Joshua has passed. Aaron has passed. Now these children are in the promised land. Okay. But they are not in alignment with God. They are consistently falling out of alignment. They're not able to keep an adherence to the covenant. I'm going to get into that, but let me read what's going on. Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Herod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 22,000, and there remained 10,000. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, this shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee. And whomsoever I say unto thee, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people into the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, every one that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth, him shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, every one that boweth down upon his knees to drink, and number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And the Lord said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand. And let all the other people go, every man to his place. Say, against all odds. Say, against all odds, y'all. So the people took victuals in their hands and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men, and the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. So they're up high. They're looking down at this sea of men of the Midianites that they're going to go to war with. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, arise, get thee down unto the host, for I have delivered into thine hand. But if thou fear to go down, go thou with Purah, thy servant, down to the host. And thou shalt hear what they say, and afterward shall thine hands be strengthened to go down into the host. Then went he down with Purah his servant into the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midianites and the Amalekites, and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for the multitude. And their camels were without number, as the sand by sea side for multitude. So they just miles and miles of people. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow, and said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian, and came into a tent, and smote it that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent lay along. So a cake of barley came into a Midian tent and knocked it all down. And his fellow answered and said, this is nothing else save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For into his hand hath God delivered Midian and all the host. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned into the host of Israel, and said, arise, for the Lord hath delivered into your hand the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put a trumpet in every man's hand, and empty pitchers and lamps within the pitchers. So he gave every man a sword, a pitcher, and a lamp inside the pitcher. Okay? And he said unto them, look on me and do likewise. And behold, when I come to outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall ye do. When I blow with a trumpet, I and all that are with me, then blow ye trumpets also on every side of the camp, and say, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came into the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had put newly set the watch. And they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. They broke the pitchers that had the lamps in them. Okay? And the 3 companies blew trumpets and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hands and the trumpets in their right hands to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. And they stood every man in his place round about the camp, and all the host ran and cried and fled. Hallelujah. Hey. All right, y'all. Okay, so let me give you some backdrop to this because I'm about to break some of this down for you. Okay, so the children of Israel have made it out of the wilderness. They've gotten all the lots broken up. Every man has every tribe, all the 12 tribes have their particular camps. Okay, the lots have been divided. All the spoils have been divided. Every tribe has their lot, and every tribe has their riches. These people are extremely wealthy. The nation of Israel is mighty. Okay. Now, you got to remember also, and I thought about this after the last Bible study. I don't like to get into the history, but you got to remember that all of this stuff happened after the flood. This is very important because the flood was a worldwide flood, okay? Wasn't a regional flood. This affected the entire planet. So all the buildings that these people are inhabiting, so as the children of Israel are going on their journey to the promised land, it is as if the world is new. This is all directly after the flood. So all that was before is no more. All that was before has been flooded. And what is left are just remnants of what was before, of the greatness that was before. Okay? So while the children of Israel are going forth and defeating these nations and acquiring all of these possessions, the nations that they're defeating did not build all of these buildings. Okay? Some people have it in their mind that they forget about the flood. Some people have it in their mind that these buildings were, built by these people and they've had generations in these buildings. You got to remember that 400 years the children of Israel were in bondage in Egypt. So, we're looking at probably 800 years. I mean, what I'm saying, of a history after the flood that these children are at, 800 maybe to 1,000. So if we're in 2023, just think if the world was just beginning and if the world just began again in 1,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Am I communicating this correctly? If the world began 1,000 years ago, we would be pretty much at 900 years, 975 years, basically. Am I communicating this correctly? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm trying to give you so you can empathize to what's going on here. We're in 2023. 1,000 years ago would be 1,000. It would be 1,023 right now. But the world has been going on for thousands of years. When this book is written, when these children are traveling through the wilderness, their world went upside down darn near less than 1,000 years prior to this text. So all the inhabitants within these regions just repopulated these places. They didn't build these places. They were already there. And what was left after the flood, repopulated what was left. What was saved during the flood just flourished and multiplied and repopulated what was left. So it's like they're in a brand new world where you could just go and take a whole region, pick up ornaments and whatever was left remaining from the flood and just acquire it. It's a gold mine. So this thought of this God leading these children through this wilderness is not, and them acquiring all of this wealth and abundance was not some unique thing. It was not unique in the sense because many people had done this. Not through this God of Israel, but just in general by repopulating the planet after the flood. because there was a world before the flood. So let's keep that in mind. So, like I said, these children have made it all the way to the promised land. They've gotten all their lots broken up. Every tribe has their own land. They're working their land and they're inhabiting their regions. But these children cannot seem to adhere to the covenant of this God. For some reason, they cannot do this. And it just came upon me today when I was sitting here thinking about what I was going to speak to in regards to this Bible study. The reason why they are having such a hard time, I can't really put up one finger on it because I don't think it's a one finger kind of thing. I think Egypt was necessary for these children. Egypt gave them the fundamentals in spirituality. They were at a buffet of spirituality, if you want to call it, because Egypt acknowledged multiple gods, as did the old world, the world before the flood. Egypt was the remnant of what was left after the flood in regards to the spiritual system. It was normal across the entire planet to acknowledge multiple gods. To acknowledge one God was completely abnormal. It was done before the flood and it was done after the flood via Egypt and all of the regions. This one God concept was crazy. Nobody adhered to it. But these children, so when these children were in Egypt, of course, Egypt was their first mother. Egypt was their first spiritual mother. It was their first schooling. They got to learn the importance of what a offering was. They offered on certain days. They offered at certain times. They learned the different things that these gods liked and the different types of offerings that you could offer these gods and what would offend them and what wouldn't. They learned devotion. They learned how to be dedicated to something. Egypt gave them a structure. And the reason why I think it was hard for these children to let go of that remnant of Egypt is because it was deeper than Egypt. It went back further than Egypt. Egypt was a remnant of the world before the flood. Egypt was the way things were before. And, you know, it's hard to break that. It is hard for them to break that because it is intrinsically them. And this loyalty, this way that these people have for spirit to rest within them, because everybody's spirit don't rest within, friend. We seem to think that the Spirit of God rests within everyone. And I would like to think it does, but it does not. Sometimes you got to get back in alignment for spirit to rest within you. A lot of times you can allow so much in to yourself, into your mind, into your whole embodiment, your auric field, that you have to expunge some things in order for new things to come and rest. Spirit will not rest in an unclean vessel. It will not. And this is what made these children so unique. This is the reason why God said this was his chosen people, because by nature, these people are righteous. These people get amongst the nations and all they want to do is befriend people. They befriend and they want to mimic. They want to be like. Instead of knowing the roots that they have, this is why God made it so clear to Moses and Joshua to remind the children of their heritage. The heritage is the roots. So when you know your heritage and you know your roots and you know the mighty hand that Spirit has had over you and your ancestors, you don't want to go over here and be like these people. These people cannot ever impress upon their ideology upon you, because you know your relationship. You know who you are as far as being a child of God. So there's no need to want to be like anyone else. Yet, this is a problem continuously with these children. God said, I'll take you and I will make you a mighty nation. I'll make you my chosen people. But there are rules to this. Hold on, you guys. What is this? What's going on here? Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. Sorry. All right. We're getting beyond it. So God says that there are rules to this. And the rules are, there will be no other gods besides me because I am the source. I am the source that you need to go through. I am the source that all of these other nations use their gods to get to. There are no gods above me. I am the God. I am the source. So there's no need for you to go and bow to these other gods. And if you do, then you will fall out of alignment with me and you will find out what my real power is. And that is what's happening with these children. They are getting amongst the nations and they just can't seem to stay in alignment. They constantly are bowing to these other gods. Baal, most importantly, Baal, Ashtaroth. Those are the two main gods that they bow to. And so God has lifted his covering from them and they have been sold into slavery. At this point, at the point of Judges to Judges chapter 14, they've probably been sold into slavery for over 100 years. So over 100 years has passed. These people have been passed from nation to nation. All of the enemies that they have defeated in all the previous books, they have become slaves to. So at this point, they are in a worse shape than they were when they left Egypt. Because at the time when they left Egypt, they didn't have many enemies outside of the Egyptians. They made enemies along the way by way of their victories in wars and accumulating wealth and accumulating land and massacring nations of people. They accumulated all of these enemies because of the hand of all the victories they've had by way of the hand of God. So really, they're in a tight spot. They're in a situation where, it's been a situation with this God of Israel, with these children all along, where yes, you are God's chosen people, and yes, these are the rules. But if you don't abide by the rules, the penalties are kind of outweigh everything. There's really not a lot of wiggle room here, and they're not abiding by the rules, even though this God of Israel is giving them every opportunity to. They're constantly struggling to abide by the rules because they are constantly defaulting to the worship of other gods. So now Joshua is dead. Moses is gone. Aaron is gone. They have no ruler over over Israel. And now they have judges in place. So the people have taken it upon themselves to appoint judges because somebody got to rule over all of these many nations. And there's a Judge Deborah who is she's over the city of Palms. And I thought about that because I live in California, and I'm not even gonna get into that, but Deborah is over the children. Deborah assists the children in prophesizing to them. She gets a prophetic word from God as far as helping the children, because these children are revolutionaries. They're not going to stop trying to break the yoke. It is their nature to do so. These are a mighty nation of people. These people are mighty by nature, by physical nature. Their bodies adapt to the garden. Their bodies adapt to spirit. You have many different types of children that inhabit the planet. There are many different tribes, but these children were chosen by God because you will get a maximum threshold or a maximum result from these children just by the way that they're designed genetically to to function within this world, this garden. So, the sun, the moon, the stars, the air, the trees, the essences, all of them align themselves to the will of these children. They align themselves to the will of everyone on the planet. But you have some on the planet that are just genetically predisposed to have a better relationship with them. So what they receive from them, they can utilize inside and cultivate on the inside of them by way of their genetic predisposition to create the maximum and the highest output. That is these children. This is what made them so important. Spirit the same way. The Spirit of God can rest within these children because by nature, these children are righteous. You can argue me down. I'm ready for it. By nature, these children are aligned and are created to house the Spirit. By default, they are righteous. They are. So, having said all of that, these children are in a situation where they are constantly being sold into slavery. They're going from one nation to the next to the next. Almost all the nations, if not all the nations that they have overturned and overtaken, have now enslaved them. So much so that they're coming at them and saying, well, we want our land back that you took from us. We want it back. And they're really not even in a place to fight. They're at a weak place. And every time they get into a situation where their backs are against the wall, what do? They cry out. They cry out to God. God, please help us. We will do right this time. God, please. And God always answers them. God always answers them. I put a note here. God answers them so much. He said, and the Lord said unto the children, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, saying, we have sinned against thee both because we have forsaken our God and served Baalim. And the Lord said unto the children of Israel, did not I deliver you from the Egyptians and from the Amorites, from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines, the Zidonians, also and the Amalekites and the Maonites did oppress you, and you cried unto me, and I delivered you out of their hand. Yet ye have forsaken me and served other gods, wherefore I will deliver you no more. It's like a joke at this point. These children constantly find themselves in a place where they are going against the law. It's one thing if you don't know the law and you break it. And you're like, okay, well, I don't even know the law. So somebody tell me the law so I can stop breaking it. But it's another thing if you know the law and you constantly break it. God said, I'm not about to help you no more. You're going to sit in that. He said, go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. That's where they're at this point. We're at the point right now, because I'm not going to get into the stage where Samson comes onto the scene. I'm going to save that for the next Bible study. But they're at a place right now where they are constantly, the only thing that they're constantly doing is falling out of alignment with God. They are not honoring the covenant. They're not even honoring themselves. At this point, they're fighting amongst one another, which they've never done before. It's bad. It's really, really bad. But every time that they cry out unto the Lord, up until this point, God answers them. That is the thing with these children. God sees everything that goes on amongst these children, even till today. God see it all, friend. If you don't think God knows what's going on around here, you're crazy. But God is the type of God that will sit back and observe. God will make you think that you're in control. And all the while, you ain't running nothing but your blood pressure up. The reason why I chose this text is because of the 300. When Gideon has come on the scene. Gideon now, God chose Gideon. Israel is in a pathetic state. Gideon is threshing wheat in a wine press. He's hiding, getting his money. He can't even openly thresh wheat. Israel is being oppressed so bad. They are in a worse place than they were in Egypt. Okay? Egypt, they didn't have no enemies outside of the Egyptians. And Joseph made it so good for them that they were able to be accepted to an extent. But where they're at now, they have sunken into a very bad place. They can't even openly show that they're getting some sort of a finance to support themselves. They are below the below. Okay? So much so that this man had to go and hide in a wine press to thresh some wheat. And God comes to Gideon and says, I want you to be the leader of Israel. And Gideon says, well, I'm the least of my father's house. We ain't got no money, God. We are like poor. Okay? You mean to tell me you gonna come and have me lead these rambunctious, rebellious people? Because y'all know how Israel is. Israel's a hot mess. The nations don't even want to deal with Israel. Israel is something else. It takes a certain type to deal with Israel. And Gideon is like, no. So Gideon makes God send him 3 different signs. He's like, okay, if you're really sure, I need to be sure again, God. Send me this other sign. And God sends it. And he says, okay, I don't know. You want me to go knock down this altar? And I already know these people, it's going to be a problem. God said, yeah. He said, send me another sign. God sends him a sign. He said, okay, look, send me one more sign just in case I got it mixed up. Yeah. Gideon gets it together. He gets the army together, and they go to war, and they start Israel back on track. And we're at a place right now where Gideon is about to go to war. And God said, see, this tells you the nature of this God. Everything I tell y'all is true. I would love for someone to chime in as well, because I'm over here on my own personal treasure hunt for God. I'm more excited about learning about this than anybody, because it's fascinating. And I've read this book before, but now that I'm going through it again, I'm just like on a whole nother level with it. God is a courageous God. I keep telling you, the Israelites are courageous, baby. Israelites. They are courageous. God chose these people because of how they are made up genetically. I'm not talking about no superior, and I'm not talking about that. I'm saying in general, in order to house a spirit, in order to have spirit work through you, friend, all my spiritual people out here, you know, like I know, spirit don't fool with everybody. Spirit is particular. It don't fool with everybody. And spirit is conscious and it's smart. You gotta be you have to have the right alignment. You gotta be clean internally for the Spirit of God to move through you. I'm not talking about you gotta have a clean background. You gotta be doing all this and that in the world. Spirit don't care about none of that. Spirit care about the heart. Spirit care about the mind. Yes, because these two things, they work in conjunction with one another. The heart and the mind run it all. And Israel, the children are set up in a way genetically to take every aspect of this garden, whether it's the sun, the moon, the stars, the frequencies of the seasons, the plants, all of that, and internalize it and give a maximum output. That's the gift. So this God of Israel says, okay, in chapter 7, he say, yes, in chapter 7, he says, just listen to me. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, mine own hand hath saved me. He's saying to him, gather some men up, you about to go to war. And Israel, all of them came. They in a bad state. They warriors by nature. God said, no, it's too many of y'all. It's too many of y'all. If I let all of you guys go forward and fight these Midianites, you're going to say it was through your own skill and your own might that you won that war. Because it also says further in the text that the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east, this is who they're going to war with, lay along in the valley like grasshoppers. For multitude, grasshoppers for their multitude. It's so many of them. They stacked on top of each other. And their camels were without number as the sand by the seaside for multitude. So when Israel's getting ready to go at them, it says here, God said, no, it's too many of y'all. I don't want it to be toe to toe. I want it to be a disadvantaged state. God is not no punk. God is not the type of God that waits for you to pass by a dark alley and come at you. No, baby. That's not who your father is. He's not a coward. Not at all. And his children are not cowards. They are not cowardly. Not at all. God said, gather the children up and put them over here by the waterway, the water. And he said, everyone that lappeth up the water with their tongue in their hand, keep them. But everyone that takes it upon itself to trust what comes out of the water spout and just drinks what comes out blindly, let them go. That's metaphorical. I'd rather lap that water up in my hand. At least I know what's in it. I know it ain't nothing, no particles in there. Instead of trusting blindly the water, being careless, that's carelessness. He said, give me them 300. It was 300 that lapped it up in their hand. God said, those are your men that you're going to go to war with. You're going to take them 300 and you're going to go to war with them thousands. And you're going to knock them back. You know why? Because I am with you. I constantly need you to know who I am. I don't never want you to ever get it twisted and think that it was by your might that you got all this done. Don't you ever get it twisted. It is by me. Yes, you are strong and powerful genetically because you are predisposed to give the maximum output within this realm, but it is my strength that multiplies your strength. That's the God of Israel. So, you know how he did it? They gather them 300 up. He lets them hear some words of encouragement. He said, I don't even need you to hear it through me, because a lot of these children, they don't believe God. This is why God had to show so many signs along the way. They don't believe. They got one foot in and one foot out. This has been the problem all along, even to now. They got one foot in and one foot out. They full of it. But God said, okay, go down to the valley. You up high. Go down to the valley And go amongst your enemies and just listen. Go on the outskirts of them and listen to what they're talking about. They're going to tell you that you have the advantage. So Gideon goes down to the valley with his people, and they hear of a dream. And the dream said that a rice cake or some kind of cake fell into the enemy's camp, and that one cake knocked down all them tents. Isn't that metaphoric for 300 men to knock back 100,000? How could 300 men knock back 100,000? Mathematically, it's impossible. But baby, when I tell you, nothing is impossible when it comes to spirit. Nothing. I have lived long enough to know it. I'm telling you, I could be up here talking about something altogether different, just as passionately. But there's nothing more passionate that I got to talk about than what's in this book. So that should tell you something. He took the men and divided them up in 3 companies, 3. And they took a sword, they took a pitcher, and they took a lamp. A pitcher, spiritually, is symbolic of a vessel. I told you before that God uses vessels, a person, a place, or a thing. A vessel. You yourself are the vessel of the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God is what animates you. It is what is the breath that fills your lungs. These pictures are symbolic of a vessel that within it holds a spirit. When they broke them vessels, they released that spirit. When they spoke those words into existence, it was done. When they sounded off that trumpet, I don't know if I read that part, throughout the camps, and it reverberated, and the next set of trumpets sounded off, and the next set. That's multiplication. It's humbling. I hope I'm communicating this correctly, because I get all caught up in it, because it is amazing to me. This God of Israel is so in love with these children that He allows them to make themselves look terrible. And in doing so, these children are in a very low state. They will continue to struggle. There will be mighty men amongst them that will come from amongst them. Every time that God sent these children help, it came from amongst them. Every single time. It says, and the children cried out to God, and God sent such and such from amongst them. And the children cried out to God, and God sent such and such amongst them. The help comes in form of one of the children. But the children have been so broken that they don't even accept the help from amongst one another. It hasn't gotten there yet, but it's on the precipice of it. Because at this point, yes, the children won the war. Great. They won it. Knocked them all back. Won it. But what the children did, they killed Gideon. The man that won the war, that helped them. I'm sorry, they didn't kill Gideon. Gideon died. But they killed Gideon's children. The children of Israel, that's where we're at this point. They killed the children of Gideon, which is the man that redeemed Israel, kind of set them free for that moment. And those that did that All of their generations were cursed. Where is that? It says here, anyway, so thus God rendered the wickedness of Abimelech, which he did unto his father, in slaying his 70 brethren. And all the evil of the men of Shechem did God render upon their heads, and upon them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal. Jerubbaal is Gideon. That is his other name. So they're cursed. See, with this God of Israel is a long game kind of God. A lot of times life be on a short trajectory because we as humans can't forecast that far out. We only live really 100 good years. I mean, who do you know that lives 100 and that's walking around here going to the grocery store and, you know, hey, what y'all doing tonight? We gonna get together and play cards? They're not doing that. At 100, you laid up, friend. You might be a get together, but it's at your house, and your family that's living with you is giving it, and you just sitting there like. So we don't forecast that far. We cannot forecast that far out. But this God of Israel don't leave no stone unturned. If you read this book, you will see nothing goes unnoticed. Nothing. This God of Israel does not play with you. And if you look at your own life, you will see it yourself. I know I can see it. And this is the fascination with this book. This is what draws me to this book. It is my love because it's real. It's a fascinating thing. Anyway, I don't want to get off on that. That was the Bible study today. Hope I did good on it. If not, I'm going to have to do it again. But love y'all. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Peace and love.